right now, I feel the same way as most fans do that just watched UFC 167 unfold before our very eyes. The main event featured George St-Pierre and Johny Hendricks in a matchup of wrestlers, strikers. GSP, the most well-rounded fighter I could possibly think of. Shut your shit down. Absolutely. Go home. And he should go home with shame because, in my opinion, it was a clear-cut decision. They always say don't leave it in the hands of the judges, but here's the problem. When there's an ass whooping of that caliber that just took place, that Johny Hendricks put down on GSP, then we have a problem. It comes down to fixation. It comes down to politics. It comes down to, do you really want to buy another UFC pay-per-view, knowing that they're just going to keep their pay-per-view draws and their champions regardless of what happens. I think Johny Hendricks had to literally knock George completely unconscious. Either that or he had to submit him, make him tap. I don't think verbally would have been enough. Even if he said in his little froggy voice, I quit. That sounds like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but you know what I mean. Even if GSP did his little, I quit thing like he did with Matt Hughes, then maybe. Even then, maybe. Because I've never seen an ass whooping of that caliber go to a decision and the guy lose. Johny Hendricks had maybe a little mark under his eye. I think he even had that going into the fight. I think that was due to training. I don't think that was due to George St-Pierre. It may have been, but who gives a fuck? If you look at George St-Pierre's face, it was a fucking massive wreck. Had that have been Bellator, Strikeforce, WEC, pre-Zuffa, and Pride, the belt would have exchanged hands, would have been a changing of the guard, and it should have been. George St-Pierre should not go home to Montreal and claim that he beat Johny Hendricks. I think there should be an immediate rematch. I think Hendricks just suffered the biggest robbery in UFC history. And I say this a lot. I say that the judges are wrong a lot. I'm not a judge. I'm a fan. That's it. I'm an MMA fan. I like to watch UFC. I like to watch Bellator. I love Strikeforce. WEC was my favorite. But look here. The card was phenomenal. Yeah, I got suspicious whenever it was Rory McDonald versus Robbie Lawler. Robbie Lawler clearly, getting the advantage early and sustaining a pace that Rory McDonald could not keep up with, which is going to bump him down the rankings. Thank God he won't have to fight his fucking boyfriend, who's still the champion. It just doesn't make sense. Johny Hendricks, I gave him rounds 1, 2, 3, and 4. 5, George St-Pierre picked it up. What I thought was going to happen prior to this fight was George St-Pierre has been in many, many, many 5-round battles. Johny Hendricks has not. So I thought that it would be George St-Pierre dragging Johny Hendricks from the 3rd round to the 5th round, take him in deep waters and drown him. And that's not what happened. Johny Hendricks showed up with Mark Lehman as head coach, and GSP showed up with Firas Zahabi, his main coach. And they both looked great. They looked in phenomenal shape. GSP looked a bit steroid cut to me. Yeah, more controversy. It just keeps going on and on. Round 1, I had a 10-9 Hendricks for sure for the uppercuts. The takedown went to George St-Pierre, but fuck the takedown. The striking certainly went to Hendricks. Round number 2 solidified my decision in giving Hendricks round 1 because he dominated round 2 as well. Round 3, maybe a turning point. You could give, that's an arguable round. You could give it to GSP. Round 4, again, you have to give to Hendricks. You have to give it to Johny Hendricks. I've watched him fight 3 times right now. So, on the 3rd turn, you're kind of like looking for George to maybe they counted this or that. And I can see the statistics going up for George and the statistics going up for Johny. And George being slightly ahead. And then I just saw power shot after power shot after power shot after power shot landing for Johny Hendricks and takedowns landing for Johny Hendricks and more going for Hendricks. Hendricks going forward, GSP going backward. Just the whole fucking thing was Johny Hendricks won the belt. So there you go. I mean, that's all I have to say. Johny Hendricks won that belt, and he's going to go back home with no belt. He's the uncrowned welterweight champion. George said he doesn't even remember half of the fight. Or he said post-fight that he doesn't recall most of what happened in that cage. I guarantee that Johny Hendricks can remember every second, every moment. He can remember the taste, the smell, what he heard that night that he won the title, which is the 17th of November, UFC 167, the 20th anniversary, yeah, 20 years, all this blah, blah, hoopla bullshit. It'd be glamorous if George St-Pierre could go out there and dominate, his upteam fucking, challenger to his belt and go home and win in classic GSP fashion. That's not what happened. It was Johny Hendricks. If anyone else has anything to say, please post a comment below because your argument will be heard, and certainly, I don't think there'll be many, but certainly I will answer back. So hit me up, Pulver101. Hit me up on Twitter at MisledYouth27, MisledYouth27. For those who cannot spell, Pulver101. Putting out a video on a devastating robbery to a good man, Johny Hendricks. GSP takes home the belt for no reason. Johny Hendricks goes home, guaranteeing that this will not happen again. I cannot wait for the rematch. I don't want to see GSP take a vacay. I want to see GSP laid out, and I think that's Hendricks' plan. Pulver Silver 101.